comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I'm doing this one late tonight, and it's a little bit weird because I've just gone from fucking listening to 30 or 29 episodes of this podcast to doing the podcast, and it feels a little bit weird. Also, I've just had a dart, so that's making me feel a little weird too. So this is another episode of Boyle Reflects. I'm reflecting on days 71 to 100. I would say those are the hardest days. I've said it a million times, but around about that 2 or 3 month period, that's when the plateau hits. That's when you get past the period where you've quit drinking and you feel good about yourself, you feel good about not drinking. You get into reality, you get into like life being sober, and the plateau hits, and then things start getting tough. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't feel better anymore. This sucks. And I'd always said it, but going back and listening to myself through that period, I can hear it. I'm like, fuck yeah. It does happen almost on the fucking mark. I think it was about day 71 or mid 70s where I'm like, this is not good anymore. This is not fucking exciting. All I want to do now is get fucked up. I can't do that. I don't feel better. What am I going to do? But the thing is, I'd gone through that period before. I'd gone through it a couple of times. I'd taken a year off drinking in my mid-20s, so I knew it was coming, and I'd had a few 3-monthers here and there. So I knew what to expect, and I knew I just had to plow through it. But if you're someone who's quitting drinking for the first time, and you hit the 2-3 month mark, you don't know what to expect. You don't know that this is actually the hardest part of the whole fucking process. So you start justifying shit. And I know I've been through this a million times, but you're like, I don't feel better. I'm bored. I haven't had fun in fucking months. What is the point of being sober if I'm going to feel like this? What's the point of continuing this if I'm not going to be feeling better about myself or about anything? If things are actually worse than they were when I was drinking now. I could hear it in my voice. Everything I was saying, I was like, fuck, if this was my first time, I would have started drinking again for sure, because I wouldn't have known. But this is when you need shit to do. This is why I say you need some sort of creative outlet. You need to exercise. You need to channel and funnel this fucking energy, this fucking old booze energy, into something positive. This is when you really need to start working on yourself, because it lasts for about a month. I could hear how much I was struggling all through like day 70, through all the 70s, all the 80s, started coming out of it around the 90s. Then by 100, I'm starting to like sound a lot different, a lot better, probably earlier than that. Around the 90s, I could hear it in my voice. I'm like, fuck, I'm starting to clear up here. The podcast starts getting a little bit better. My voice starts sounding better. I bought a fucking piano. Day 99, I bought a piano. I'm like, I got to get myself out of this fucking rut. You're in a rut for a month. It's a tough little fucking period. If you can take anything out of all the bullshit I've said over the years, I think the most helpful thing is just keeping a fucking eye on yourself, that 2 or 3 month mark, because it's coming. The plateau's coming, and you need to be aware of it to get through it. Because the devil's going to be on your shoulder, and it's going to have some very convincing fucking arguments. You're not feeling better. This sucks. You're bored. Everyone's having fun besides you. You've got no friends. But you just have to have tunnel vision. You've got to push through. You've got to be like, I will be fine once I get to like the 4 or 5 month mark. I'm just in a plateau now. I knew it was coming. Now start working on myself. Fucking start putting some shit in place that's going to get you through. Because if you can get through this part, it does get easier. And to be honest with you, you're not even getting any of the benefits of being sober until after this period. Like, I can tell from listening to it, I'm only just starting to clear up a little bit by this point. 100 days. I would say the 100-day mark is when you're just starting to see the beginning of the benefits of being sober. I can also tell during this period, the podcast is starting to get better as well. My mind's clearing up a bit. The ideas are coming. The philosophy's flying. I'm starting to piece together the Boyle philosophy. It's so fucking interesting going back and listening to this, even though it's traumatic. But if you are quitting drinking and you're heading into that fucking plateau phase from like 2 months to 3 months, fucking, it's worth having to listen to the podcast from about day 70 because I'm fucking in it as well. I'm talking about wanting to get fucked up a lot. I'm smoking darts like a fucking maniac. Everything sucks. I'm like, sober sucks. I did a full episode called Sober Sucks. It's very fucking interesting. It's also reconfirming a lot of the stuff I think now that I'd sort of forgotten. Like, I kept talking about this plateau phase, but I forgot exactly how it felt and how it all went down and why there's a plateau. But I think the reason this plateau happens, this is just my guess, is because after 3 months of being sober, it becomes your new reality. Like, sober is now your reality. Now you have to live life as a sober person. The first few months, you can just fucking cruise through. It's all new. But once you hit about that 3 month mark, it's life now. It's really the beginning of your life as a sober cunt. So watch out for that plateau. Anyway, that's me done for tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, give it a share around, and I'll see you the fuck later.